Hi, welcome to episode 4 of the Just One End podcast. My name is Elizabeth Zimmerman, but I go by Liz. Today is Thursday, July 13th, 2017. I am coming to you from Cochranville, Pennsylvania, where I live with my husband Greg and our 2 kids, Erica and Tilda. And I am going to try my very hardest to make this episode a little bit on the shorter side. I've been saying that I wanted to do a 30 to 40 minute episode, and I have not come very close to that so far. I actually already recorded this episode once, and it was almost an hour, and yeah, I decided to just scrap it. I recorded it at night anyway. I was in a bad mood that day. So I decided, start over, and let's see how it goes. So I wanted to do more regular segments, starting with this episode. So my first segment is going to be podcaster love. So this segment, I'll just talk about some of the podcasts that I've been watching, what I like about them, maybe mention some that you've never heard of before you can check out, that kind of thing. So the first one I want to mention, actually the first 2, are a couple of podcasters who popped over to my channel and checked me out and left a comment for me. So I went and checked them out. So that is the Professor Knits, which is Nikki. She is a knitter. She's starting to dye yarn. She also does some spinning. She is a Canadian who lives in South Dakota, I think. One of the Dakotas. I think it's South. And she's a lot of fun. I would recommend that you check out her podcast. I think she's got 6 or 7 I think 6. She's got a few episodes out now. But she's a lot of fun to watch. And then the other one is Crafty Mama. I can't remember her name right now, and I'm sorry, but she's also a Canadian. She's also a lot of fun. I haven't caught up on her episodes yet, but I think she's got 7 or 8 of them. Another new one that I've been checking out lately is Levi with the WTF Knitting podcast, or as he likes to say, the WTF Knitting, because he's hilarious. So he's pretty new. Crafty Mama is the one who turned me on to him. I think he's got a giveaway going on Instagram right now, although it may end the day that I put this podcast up. But he's new to podcasting, new to Instagram, just like me. So I relate to him a lot with that. But he's a ton of fun, so definitely check him out. Some of the more established podcasts that I've been watching are, Stranded Dye Works. I think I've probably mentioned her before. That's Amy over in England. She does the Stranded podcast, but she owns an indie dyeing company, Stranded Dye Works, which she does as her full-time job, which is pretty amazing. I love when people are able to do that, follow their passion and live their life that way. But she's a lot of fun. Definitely one to check out. I watched 1 episode of the Yarngasm podcast. So that's Kristen with Volenvine. When I talked about watching podcasts in my earlier episodes, I mentioned that I really like to watch them from the beginning, and that is impossible to do with the Yarngasm podcast. First of all, she's on episode 200 something. She's been podcasting weekly for many years, I think 5 or 6 years. And the first 50 of her episodes aren't even on YouTube anymore. I don't know if they archived or I don't know where they are, but you can't start at the beginning. Besides the fact that it would take forever to catch up from the beginning. So I've decided I'm going to watch her new episodes. I will probably still binge watch them and just watch them backwards. Just go from present and go back weekly. That's actually how Amy from Stranded Dye Works, that's how she said she watched Katie from Inside Number 23 and the Grocery Girls. So she said that she got to watch them unknit all of their projects, which I thought was a funny way to do it. So those are the ones recently that I've been watching. I started watching the Periscoping Sisters. I am watching them from the beginning. They are hilarious. I've only watched 3 episodes so far. Their first episode had me dying. I was, oh my gosh, they were so funny. So definitely check them out. And then the last one that I've actually spent most of my time watching because I've caught up on all of his episodes is Josh from Dairyland Knits. He is from Pennsylvania. I'm not sure exactly where, but judging by what he said about his family history and how he grew up, I'm pretty sure it's around my area with the Pennsylvania Dutch element. He now lives in Wisconsin, I believe. And he's a professor, and he teaches mostly German. I'm not sure what else he teaches, but he's very entertaining. I love watching him. He's an amazing knitter. He has some really incredible projects, especially lace projects. And I love the segments that he's done. He hasn't done a ton, but he's done a Professor Josh segments where he teaches you about the history of something like hairpin lace or broomstick lace, I think was another one. But he's a lot of fun. I really enjoy watching his podcast, and I'm looking forward to new episodes coming out. So this week I have one finished object. Unfortunately, I can't show you the finished object because I gifted it already, but I'll put a picture in here. This is a sweater that I knit for my grandmother. This was my secret project. You saw it in its project bag, a very stuffed project bag because it's a sweater. It is the Tender Heart sweater, which is by Tin Can Knits. I use Knit Picks yarn. I use their gloss, their DK gloss yarn. And the colors that I used, I have a swatch here because I knit up a little bit of just a swatch so that I could block it and see if the colors would bleed. And by the way, they didn't, so good news there. There's Cream, Sea Spray, and this one is called Winter Night. So it's mostly a cream. Well, you've seen the picture now, but it's a cream sweater with like an Icelandic yoke, which is really a lot of fun to do. I actually used Portuguese knitting to do the color work in the yoke, and I highly recommend it to anybody who's done color work and had any issues with tension. My tension was so much better than it was when I did the elephant blanket that I showed in the first episode. It was a lot easier to do yarn management, a lot easier to catch traps. Very, very cool way to do color work. So Craftsy actually has a class on Portuguese knitting, so you could definitely check that out. I nabbed that during a sale, so if you catch one of their sales or promo codes, that's a really good class to pick. Anyway, so it's the Tender Heart sweater by Tin Can Knits. It's part of the Heart on My Sleeve collection, which is it's 7 or 9. It's an odd number. I can't remember. I'm trying to picture it in the the pattern. I think it's 7 different patterns that all start out the same way. You knit the sleeves and the body from the bottom up, and then you join them, and then the yoke is different for all of them. So in this one, it was the Icelandic style colorwork yoke. The one that I'm going to do for myself is the Heartstring. I think I called it Stranded Heart last time, but it's the Heartstring sweater by Joji Locatelli. And then there's a bunch of other options. It's a really cool pattern packet to be able to do all of those sweaters. You pick whichever one suits you best, or you make all of them, which I'm on my way to doing since I'm going to cast on a second one for myself. So that's it for my FOs. Whips, I showed a couple last time. I haven't made a ton of progress on the ones that I have in progress, but I have done a lot of casting on. So let me start with this though. I showed you stitching last time. Sorry, I have a lot of tangents today. So today I took the day off work, not for any particular reason. I just wanted a day off. I've been working a lot lately, so I wanted to take a day for myself. I sent my kids to daycare because I wanted a day for me. So So after I dropped my kids off, I drove over to Lancaster because I wanted to go to an embroidery shop. Um, I wanted to pick up a Q-snap frame, which I did. So that is what this is now on. So this is my Fabulous Women in History stitch along that I was showing last time. The only progress I've done, I've put in the word the, and I've started Queen Elizabeth's skirt and her banner here. So not a ton of progress, but it's something. But I love this Q-snap thing. It's loose right now because I'm not working on it actively. So when you're doing embroidery, needlework, cross stitch, you're supposed to keep the fabric slack unless you're actively working on it so things don't stretch out and get misshapen. But actually, I'll do this. I'm sure some of you have heard of these. Maybe if you haven't, though, you just use you can twist these, and it makes it super tight, and it keeps its tension really well. It doesn't mark the fabric like a hoop can sometimes. It's safe to go over the stitches you've already done. It's really super cool. So I'm really excited that I picked that up in my little day off. I also I got a quick haircut, and then I went to a tea shop and had high tea by myself and sat there and did a little bit of knitting. So it was a really fun me day. And then I went shopping and got rocking chairs for my porch, which I'm super excited about because we bought this house last fall. My goodness, so many tangents, but we bought the house that we're in currently last fall, and it has a really big front porch, which is just beautiful. I love it. It's one of my favorite features of this house. And so I finally picked up some rocking chairs today to put on my porch. It's like 90 degrees outside right now, so I'm not going to go sit in the rocking chairs, but I have them for when it's a little bit cooler, maybe this evening. So other than the stitching, I actually really only did some of it today. I haven't been working on any of my current whips. Instead, I've been making new whips. I have been casting on way too much. So the first thing that I've cast on is the Zadie sweater. I know I mentioned this last time sorry, I'm doing a lot of leaning. I made my table too far away from me. I'm doing the Off Our Needles knit along that the grocery girls are doing. Now the pattern says that you start with the body and then you knit the two sleeves and then you join them and then you go up. But from doing the Tender Heart sweater, I actually started with the sleeves first and then did the body, and I really like that. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's mental. It's just, it seemed like it went faster, but it was so nice to have sleeves done and then do the body and then just be able to join it and do the yoke. It just felt like it went really fast. Of course, that was my first adult sweater, so I really have nothing to compare it against. It may have just taken less time than I thought. But when I cast on for the Zadie sweater, I decided, okay, I'm going to start with the sleeves. And not only did I start with the sleeves, I decided to do them 2 at a time. So I've made pretty good progress. I have another video, if you want to check it out, about how I'm tracking my increases in my rows using my little row counter and a stitch counter, if you feel like checking that out. But yeah, so working on these, I did have to buy a longer cable last night because I started on a 30-inch cable and I quickly ran out of room. So I've now moved up to a 50-inch cable, which is giving me a lot more space. My needles, I almost exclusively use Chai-Gu interchangeables. I've used the Hiya Sharps on some socks that I got recently. Those were my first non-Chai-Gu purchase in a while. But these are the lace tip interchangeable set. Or not, well, I think they're lace. Okay, there's another story behind that. Holy tangent. But so I have the interchangeable set. I purchased it way back when I first started getting into knitting seriously, when I branched outside my Christmas stockings. I went to Flying Fibers in Landisville, Pennsylvania, and I bought the Chai-Gu interchangeable set that they had. What they had in stock was the bamboo set with the clear cables. I knew that I really wanted the steel set, but I didn't want to wait because I'm terribly impatient. So I bought that interchangeable set. I did immediately buy the cables, the red twist cables instead. Not instead, but I bought the red cables to supplement the kit that I bought. And then I used the bamboo for a good amount of time. And then I knelt on one of my smaller sizes. I think it was like a size 3. And I snapped it in half. Yeah, it was sitting on my bed or something. And that gave me a great excuse to go out and buy the steel needles for size 3. So I haven't used that excuse because I haven't broken any more needles, but I've basically bought every size in steel. So I really have 2 sets of interchangeable needles. They just live in the same pouch. Also, the steel needles come in 2 different sizes. They have just the regular size, whatever this is, like 6 inches or so. And then they have short ones that are, I think, 4 inches. And those are to be used with an 8-inch cable, so you can have a 16-inch circular to do like hats and things like that. It's actually perfect for the Christmas stockings. That's what I originally got it for. So I even have the short needles in a couple of sizes. So I have a lot of Chai-Gu needles. I mean, it took me a couple of years to get to the collection that I have. I did it a piece at a time, starting with the base of the bamboo set. But I love them. I highly recommend them to anybody looking for interchangeables. They're a great set. So anyway, that is my Zadie sweater. So I've cast that on. I really like it so far. Obviously, I haven't made it very far, but I think that once I focus on it more, I'll make some good progress, and I think it'll be a pretty quick knit as far as sweaters go. It is a sweater. The other one that I cast on was, let's see, well, another one that I cast on, because I cast on several, is the Childhood Memories shawl, which is right here. It's a curved triangle. I'll show you. This is actually the right side. It's got a slip stitch motif in it, which is actually showing up pretty well. It's hard to see in person because of the variegated yarn. It's this pattern's actually meant for a solid or semi-solid color, and I can see why, because it would emphasize that. But I'm hoping when it blocks, it'll be a little bit more obvious. But I love this pattern for showing off the color, because this is my, yeah, you can really see those slip stitches. They're very pretty. This is my Woolen Vine yarn that I picked up a couple weeks ago. This is the Neptunia yarn in the blitzed base, so it's got the sparkle to it. Hopefully the sparkle comes through. But it's a really cool shawl. I'm really enjoying it so far. I've said before, I haven't done a ton of shawl knitting, but I've really liked using the shawl that I finished right before I started the podcast, the Metal Elf shawl. So I think that, you know, now I knit shawls and probably wear them too. So I'm looking forward to getting that one finished and wearable as soon as the weather turns colder. Sorry, I'm getting all tangled up in my zipper. There we go. Okay, and then I cast on another shawl. I mentioned this last time that I was itching to get to my exploration station. So as a reminder, here are my colors. There we go. I'll show them like this. This is actually showing up a little bit better this time. It was showing up really maroon. It's still a little bit more maroon than it actually is. But it's very pretty purple. So these are my colors. And then I had mentioned that, well, I think I mentioned that the dark purple is actually a lace weight, which is lighter than what it calls for. It calls for fingering weight, and all the other ones are fingering. And I didn't want to hold it double. Well, I debated whether to hold it double or just suck it up and use the lace weight and hope it didn't impact it too much. But somebody commented on my Instagram post about it, suggesting to hold mohair with it, which I thought was a great idea because it's not going to be quite as thick as holding it double would be, but it would add a little bit of thickness. And I've never used mohair before, but I've seen it used in knitting, and it creates a really cool halo effect without being too obvious. But it's really neat. So I picked up a little bit of mohair last night while I was at Flying Fibers. I went to their knit night, which I don't make it out to very often since I'm an hour away now, but it's always fun to pop over and see my friends. But it's kind of a blue, which I thought would go well with all of the yarns that I'd picked. I can't tell if things are focusing, so sorry if they aren't. My mirror behind my phone to see is too far away. But this is what I'd finished before I decided I'm gonna just do mohair. So I'll rip this out, but you can see how the wedges are coming up. I've got a variegated yarn here with a neutral base, and then this is the darker variegated yarn. Yeah, so I'm excited with how that's going to turn out. I didn't make that much progress, so I'm not too sad about ripping it out. But I think that'll look really cool in the end. And I really love the suggestion of the mohair. So thank you to the person who suggested that, who I can't remember who it is, but I'll put that on the screen when I look that up later. And then another cast on that I have, this is really the last one. I had a crochet whip, and it was a pair of sandals using raffia fiber, which is a plant fiber. It's very cool. It's grassy. It's good for things like sandals, bags, hats, things like that. So I finished one shoe, and I kind of hated it. I didn't like how it turned out. I am terrible at reading crochet patterns, so I'm sure that I did something wrong, but it just looked really wonky on my foot. So I decided I was going to rip it out, and I started a bag instead. So this is the progress I've made. I'm kind of making it up. I'm sort of following a pattern that's supposed to be like a honeycomb, but the pattern's in Swedish or something, so I'm not really able to read it, and I'm terrible at reading charts. So who knows how it'll actually turn out now in the honeycomb section. But I just did a double crochet circle to do the base, and then went up for a couple of inches, and then switched to the honeycomb pattern. And I'm just gonna keep going till I run out, basically. So it's super fast. I started this like 2 days ago, and it's at least halfway done, probably 2/3. So yeah. So that's my last new cast on and last whip. So this last section, I'm going to talk about a couple of acquisitions. Sorry, I've been acquisition heavy lately. I really should not be, because I should stop buying yarn. But hopefully it's not too boring, and hopefully it isn't going to be too long. But anyway, so a couple of acquisitions I picked up. First of all, I have started pimping out my knitting bag, the bag that I carry around all my projects in if I'm going somewhere. I picked up some pins. I picked up a pin at Do You Knit, and then I ordered a couple buttons that I wanted to. I was looking for a specific button. I was looking for this one. I was looking for, there it is. This is the instructions for Kitchener stitch. So the first two are the setup, the next two are the rows that you repeat. So it's like front purl, leave on, back knit, leave on. You know, if you don't know how to do Kitchener stitch, there's lots of good videos. But but I wanted something that I could reference quickly, either a keychain or a laminated card, something, and I found this button. On the same site, I found some other buttons that I really liked, so I picked those up as well. So there's this one, which is I knit so I don't kill people. Always a good one. I picked up a pretty pink. It says yarn snob. I try not to think of myself as too much of a yarn snob. I do really like um, pretty yarn and expensive yarn. But you know, I will knit with anything as long as I like the feel of it. And there are some really great soft acrylics out there that I like working with. So, but it's a cute button. And then this one is one that I hear a lot. It says, "Yes, I like to knit. No, I'm not old." Because there's a lot of stigma around that. And then I've got a couple of company buttons. Like I said, there's the Do You Knit one there. I picked that up on my little, I think that's focusing. I picked that up on my little road trip. And then Steel City Stitcher, I've got like 5 of her buttons because I bought way too many of her project bags. But there's that one there. And then just last night, I asked my friends at Flying Fibers if they had any buttons, and Renee was nice enough to give me one. So I've got the Flying Fibers button right there. So and then I've got Jamie from A Beautiful Mess Yarn Works. I've got her sticker in a clear pocket. So that's there. So this is my pimped out yarn bag. So I'll be collecting more buttons. I'm gonna be on the lookout for them now, so I can pick those up. And then as far as acquisitions go, I am lean. Okay, I have a lot because I always do. I'm terrible. So I'm gonna work backwards. So today I picked up the Q-Snap. And then I also picked up a new cross stitch pattern kit, really, which is a Halloween theme. For some reason, I've got Halloween on the brain, but it's the Candy Corn of Mischief. It's cute little pumpkins and ghosts and stars and moons in the shape of a candy corn. So that'll be fun to start. In the mail, I've mentioned before, I'm in the Andre Sue Knits Sock Blank of the Month Club. So spoiler, 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 I'm going to show you what this second month's installment is. And it is called What a Fox. And it's adorable, of course. So it's a fox on like a mint green background. Here's the other one. So it's these 2 foxes repeated. It's really big. So, so that's the sock blank. And then I also, like I said, I was at Flying Fibers last night, so I picked up a little bit of yarn. They have started carrying so many great brands lately. I am so sad that I moved away. They are a flagship store for Quince & Co. now. Before they were just carrying the linen, but now they've got wool too. They are carrying Brooklyn Tweed. They've got Hedgehog Fibers. I'm so excited about their inventory and so sad that I don't live closer. But it's probably a good thing because I should stop buying yarn anyway. But super awesome. So I got some Lark, the worsted weight. I got it in a dark blue and a light blue because I'm going to be making Greg a double knit scarf. I can't remember the pattern. It's cubic. I think it's cubic scarf maybe. I'll find it and I'll put the link in, but it's double knit and it's like 3D. It's like that 3D cube. I have no idea how to describe it. I'll put a picture in because that'll be a lot more efficient. So I picked that up last night. And then I took my family to Rehoboth. My husband and I took our kids to Rehoboth Beach in Delaware last weekend. And there's a yarn store there. It's called Kitschy Stitch. Now, I've been to yarn stores in touristy places before, and they're usually not that great. You know, they're trying to appeal to the widest base, so their yarn maybe fairly common, fairly cheap, not necessarily that exciting. This store is not that. This is a great yarn store, and it's such a cool layout. It's like a big circle, and it's a good thing she told me that because I hadn't gone into the back, and that's where I made the majority of my purchase. But I picked up a couple of KFI sock yarn. I don't know this brand. So I don't. No, there we go. So it's not one that I know, but I picked up the yarn. I really like the colors. This one's got like gray and blue and brown. Yeah, yeah, I'd say maybe not gray. It's mostly tones of brown and some blue, and a little bit of green. But that one will be nice. I'm thinking these would be good socks for my husband. I think they're a nice color. And then I got like a purple. This one's got the gray. I've got like a purple and gray and green one here. And I think I'm going to use these for socks for my sister. I'll have to get her approval on the color, see if she likes them. But she said she wanted some socks, and I said I'd make her some. So that's the first thing I picked up. And then she had Malabrigo, which is not something that I've knit with before, but I've obviously heard of. And so I saw the sock section, and I love sock yarn, so I picked this one up. This is the, where's the name? Diana. This is the Diana colorway. It's got green and purple and yellow. And all sorts of tones in there. It's beautiful. So that's a really fun one. And that's all I picked up, and I was going to go check out. And then she told me she had more in the back. And I found her worsted weight of Malabrigo, which is the Malabrigo Rios. And oh my goodness. This colorway, that one's unskeiny. Let me get a better one. This colorway is called Lettuce. It is so pretty. Look at that green. Oh, I am in love with this color. This is going to make an amazing sweater. I am super excited because I picked up a sweater's quantity. I was ready to check out, and then I go to the back, and I pick up a sweater's quantity of yarn. Seriously, I have a problem. Yeah. Anyway, so this is just gorgeous. I am so excited to cast something on with this. I am thinking it will either be another worsted boxy or another Zadie, or I might find a different sweater pattern for it. But considering I have both the worsted boxy and Zadie in progress, I need to finish those first before I say I'm going to cast it on with this. But I think that's the direction this is going. And then one last store that I'd forgotten about. I actually went to Chicago in early June. I was there for a conference for work. And I took the train. Well, I flew out because of a lot of reasons. I was supposed to take the train, but it didn't happen. I flew out, and then I took the train back. So on the train, it's like oh goodness, I think it ends up being like 17 hours. It's like a 9-hour stretch from Chicago to Pittsburgh, and then like a 5-hour stretch from Pittsburgh to close to my house. In Parksburg, actually, is the train station near me. And then a couple of layovers, a layover in between for a couple of hours. Which, if you're a knitter, is perfect knitting time. I love the train anyway. I like to travel that way. It's less hassle, less security, less. So I was really looking forward to doing that trip, and I did. And I posted about it on Instagram. I called it my personal knitting retreat, and I did a lot of knitting on it. But before I left Chicago, I stopped at a yarn store because I had a couple of hours. And I picked up some yarn. So it was Yarnify in downtown Chicago, next to a metro station, which was nice because I didn't have transportation, so I just hopped on the metro. They had Madeline Tosh. So I picked up, first of all, I picked up a couple of unicorn tails because you know me and minis. So there's a really dark, deep blue, and then there's green, which is actually very similar to the Malabrigo I picked up. The blue is, let's see, called Fathom. It's a Tosh Merino Light. And then the green is also Tosh Merino Light, and it's called Jade. So those are really pretty. I thought, well, obviously they're going to go into my blanket, but they could also be good heels, toes, and cuffs. I need to start remembering that when I do socks. So I want to try and factor that in. And then I got two full skeins. I got begonia leaf on the Tosh sock base, which is this pretty tonal purple. It's showing up a little bit more magenta. It's not quite that red, but it's very pretty. And then I also picked up in Tosh Merino Light, the colorway called Spectrum, which is blue and purple. And I have a lot of, I have yarn colors that are similar. I've used a couple. I have a crocheted poncho. That's the word I'm looking for. A crocheted poncho that I made out of, I think the yarn's called Moshi or Mashi. I can't remember. It's Plymouth yarn. I'll find that too. But I knit that out of a very similar colorway. And then my big garter stitch blanket is also a very similar colorway. Different yarns, but same color family, I guess. Very, very similar. But I really like this that color. Starry night kind of reminiscence. And then I also picked up some Regia yarn. Now I have not knit with a lot of Regia. Honestly, I don't love the feel of their wool. It might be blue-faced Leicester usually. I can't remember. It's just not quite as soft as I like my yarn. So I picked up their cotton. So this is cotton. The yellow, in case you haven't seen this before, the yellow is actually like a guide yarn. It's around the ball to show you that when you reach the end of the yellow and you get into the color, that's your starting point for identical socks. So when you knit your first sock and then you've got the yellow again, you start the other sock, or you go from both ends. I'm not quite sure how it works, but once I start knitting, I guess I'll find out. Yeah, I see it in the middle there. So I think that's what it is. So you go from the yellow to find the point where you can make matching socks. I don't care about matching socks normally. I also like to do shorties, but I thought I'd try it out anyway. It's kind of cool. And that is it. That's all I got. That's a ton, but that's all I have today. All right, so I just finished recording what you just watched, and I was grabbing my phone because that's what I record with, and I was just looking through the messages. Sorry, by the way, if there's buzzing in the noise. I tried to turn it on airplane mode and turn off Wi-Fi, but somehow the Wi-Fi got turned back on, so notifications came through. But one of those notifications was that something I'd ordered online had arrived. So I ordered a hoodie. Zipped hoodie. I have one that I've worn for a long time and it's just kind of falling apart. So I was like, all right, it's time for a new hoodie. And I found one that was knitting related. So the company is called Redbubble. It's like Cafe Press. It's like you can just get phrases printed on things. And one of them is a hoodie. So I ordered this. Yay! So knitting is my cardio. Anyway, I'm really excited about it, so we're adding that to the acquisitions. Yay! So thank you for joining me again. If you've come before, thank you for joining me for the first time. If you've never watched before, if you like the video, hit the like button and you can subscribe. I think I've got like 32 subscribers right now, which is really exciting. Doesn't seem like a lot to some people probably, but it's really exciting to me. So, yeah, I was gonna say, I think I'm probably gonna stick to an every 3-week schedule. I've tried every 2. It's hard to find the time sometimes, where I have the daylight. If I had better lighting at night, I'd probably be able to do it a little better, because I am a night owl like nobody's business. I can stay up way too late all the time. And I'm super productive at night too. But the lighting is just not good. So I'll try to be back in another 3 weeks. Hopefully have some good progress on things to show you. But until then, I hope that you have a great week. I hope you get some good crafting done. And I will see you next time. Bye!